So I had two massive blows in a very short amount of time. And through that, I was no longer of help to any of them because of the cancer treatment that I was going through, and I was dropped by everybody in the health and fitness space too. Lost a lot of friends because a lot of them just didn't know how to deal with somebody at the young age of 30 going through cancer. And that was when I went through the deepest, darkest depression, lost my identity, and I thought, I don't know how I'm going to come out the better end again. Back when I was 8 years old, I have an older brother and I wanted to be exactly like him. He was heavily into soccer, and I thought if I could be really good at sports, maybe my brother would want to play with me and like me. And I realized I was actually very good at sports. It didn't make him like me more, but I found where I could excel, was confident, and met some amazing people. And that's where I actually got my university degree. I got a scholarship to play volleyball. And that's kind of what segued me into becoming a personal trainer. And through a very long story, I did go through a divorce at 21. And at that age, it's not about mental health, or at least I didn't really have any clue what that was, because that was donkeys years ago. And I thought if I was physically beautiful, then maybe I'd be liked more. There's like a reoccurring theme happening here as I'm talking about this. So I thought, you know what is the most beautiful, strong people are women on a magazine in health and fitness. So that was my beginning journey into the actual fitness modeling space, where that's what I just wanted to do, to look pretty, feel pretty, be empowered. And then I realized it was actually just a wonderful industry to be in and empowering for other women. And I put my mind to it, ended up becoming 5-time cover model, doing 4 IFBB championships where you wear a bikini on stage, you get judged by people to win. So being in the health and fitness space as a fitness competitor, I did very well, and realized I could be at that time as well an online fitness competition coach. So I competed and was a coach. I trained women to get ready for stage, but maybe like the viewers that are listening, it's not an attainable, sustainable look. And that was something that I always struggled with when I was coaching clients, because you want them to be happy, and it was only very short-lived. And I experienced that for myself. I'll kind of go back a little bit. I realized when I competed, it's a lot of work. It was 24/7 a day. And when I was talking to other ladies that competed at the high level, it seemed that I was doing more work. And I think we all kind of go through this in our health and fitness journey. We think we're comparing, saying, it's so much harder for me than that lady. And that's really what I felt like. I was exhausted all the time, fatigued, I didn't have great balance. And most of the time I just thought, because I'm competing, I'm putting my body literally to the ringer. And my eyesight started to get worse. And I thought it was my contacts. And my husband said, why don't you go to the eye doctor? So I did. And then they found a little bit of degeneration in the eye. And then doing, a ton of tests later, they diagnosed me with MS. But being that young and in that industry, that was my entire identity. And I wasn't about to accept that diagnosis, because this was my entire life, how I made money, how people knew me. So I literally just went to the gym after I was told the diagnosis. And then I began to realize that I could not keep up with this industry. My body just was not cooperating. It was getting worse. My symptoms come from mobility. So that was the biggest thing for me, being an athlete and not being able to squat or do lunges without kind of teetering or falling. And even when I competed wearing 5-inch heels, it was so difficult for me to stand in heels. It's very common in North America. My grandma actually had MS. She was diagnosed at 27. It's not 100% genetic, but there are genetic traits for that. And a lot of the time with it, it affects people in different ways. Like there are some extreme cases where people cannot walk, they're in a wheelchair like my grandma, or they have problems with their bowels. They also have likely chance of depression, which I obviously go through because of chemical imbalances. There's so many different symptoms and everybody's different. My body just was not cooperating. It was getting worse. And I thought I might as well get out on top. And I did my last competition in 2016 at the Arnold, won that. And I thought to myself, you know what, I'm gonna take care of my body, live life with my husband and have that new chapter and become like just a coach. And 3 months after that, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. So I had 2 massive blows in a very short amount of time. So with the MS and then the thyroid cancer, when I got the diagnosis, I honestly thought it was going to be the easiest thing because it's a very treatable cancer. You don't get a lot of symptoms. Like it's honestly, other than skin cancer, you're like, okay, I got this. Like this is good. It's not going to spread. So they said, we'll remove your thyroid. You'll be on medication the rest of your life, but everything will be great. So the doctor really didn't paint the picture of it being scary. It was just, oh, okay, we'll go through surgery and everything will be fine. That was when going through that, coming out of surgery, having very low blood pressure, like I have extremely low blood pressure. That was probably one of the most difficult times of just not having the oxygen, just not being able to recover, and being completely exhausted, and likely was my MS as well. And through that time period, they weren't just going to give me Synthroid, which is what I use to help replicate the thyroid hormone, because they just wanted to balance things and then start that process. I felt like I couldn't get out of bed. I felt I was 500 pounds. I had a husband, I had a puppy, I had a great job. I was connecting with new like-minded people and bought a new home. So in my head, I'm like, everything I have, I should be grateful for. Yet I didn't want to be alive. And I called my doctor. I've never felt so low in my life. In the health and fitness space, it's a business. So sponsors, they want you and your look in order to make money. I was no longer of help to any of them because of the cancer treatment that I was going through, and I was dropped by everybody. In the health and fitness space too, lost a lot of friends because a lot of them just didn't know how to deal with somebody at the young age of 30 going through cancer. And that was when I went through the deepest, darkest depression, lost my identity, and I thought, I don't know how I'm going to come out the better end again. It was a team effort. I will say that it wasn't just one person that could really lift me up. My husband is the best supporter. I don't know what I would have done without him. He was there when nobody else could see you like this, right? So we all put on a face. The doctors will only see one part, but my husband saw the real me. And that still to this day finds hard when I have an MS attack, yet nobody knows, but he does. So I just know that he's there and can see all sides of me and not judge, and he'll always be supportive. And I also had a functional medicine doctor, and luckily I started looking at functional medicine. And this is where 𝐸𝐸 comes in, actually. I was looking at, some very natural, healthy supplements to help me through my thyroid cancer diagnosis and treatment. And I ended up talking to Jenna. She's still with you guys now. And I said, you know what, I just would love to learn more. The next week, she called back with Tanya and said, we'd love for you to be part of the team, but we also want you to connect with one of our naturopathic doctors to make sure that all the supplements that you're on is okay for your treatment. They looked after me every week. I had a call with them, and I'm fit and healthy and been with 𝐸𝐸 ever since. So it's a really cool story of just meeting the right people at the right time. And you guys are family. There was this one book by Dr. Burns called Feeling Good. One day it was just in my drawer. I picked it up, said I'll read it on the Stairmaster at the gym. And it felt like he was speaking to me. And it was all about depression and different things that happens in our brain and why we think the way we think and feel in our actions. And I'm like, I think this is like the missing piece in my journey of recovering. And it was all about cognitive behavioral therapy. So I thought, I think I need to add this into my repertoire. But me being stubborn and independent and asking a lot of questions, I realized my schooling wasn't finished and I was going to go back and learn CBT. And then through that whole process, I thought, you know what? I want to get my degree, my master's degree in psychotherapy to be able to do CBT for food addictions. So what we do is look at our connections between our thoughts, because we have about 17,000 a day, that will always lead to a feeling. So we'll either feel happy, sad, angry, we'll always have something, and then a behavior. So it's really looking at all these compartments and then looking at it for the validity and the truth for it. And anybody listening, I always say, there's always a grain of truth to our thoughts. It's on like a spectrum. And then we have to look at the other perspective. That's a big thing, is just taking a multiple perspective approach and having balance. And that's the big thing with CBT, is here and now, being balanced with our thought and having evidence to prove it otherwise. And that's where I am today. So went from 6 years ago being a fitness model wearing a bikini on stage to now doing like food addiction therapy and surviving cancer and living with MS. If I was no longer depressed, I did not have any of those feelings, it does not exist, how would I feel? What would I want to do with my life? What would my day-to-day look like? And that's like kind of like the miracle question where like I'm taking that out, what would it look like? And they start to like think for a moment away from what their struggle is and what the possibilities are. That is the one thing. Remove it. What would you like to do? No excuses, no, but I have this. It's saying, if this doesn't exist, what would it look like? And oftentimes we can get that, or a version of it, and saying, if that's what you want, what version can we do today in order to make those steps? And I just think sometimes when we're struggling or going through something, we're in that like fog where we can't see a different perspective. And I always just encourage people, when you struggled in the past, where you are now, you got through it, right? So it's just looking back at previous things that you were able to do, but also saying, if it didn't exist, what would you do? And just taking a little part of that, and it can help. 𝐸𝐬𝐬𝐲. The show is fantastic, and nachos. So I'm a key advocate for steps, for walking. So I literally will get 7,000 before I start the day. I make that a non-negotiable, because once my day starts, I will make every excuse under the bus. Like I know that about me. So I get my 7, and then I have a dog. So it's very easy. We just take little breaks and go around the block, and I'll always get 10,000, but as long as I get that 7 by 7, that's my rule. And exercises, honestly, I used to say, weightlifting in the gym. I like to do Pilates. I like to do yoga. I like anything and everything that'll move my body that feels good. So I don't have any specific one that's my favorite. It just depends on how I feel. I just kind of realize now, yes, you can look pretty on the outside, but be completely unhealthy or be completely unhappy. But I had to go through all of that stuff. I don't regret it, in order to be where I am now. What was health at 20 was looking good. Like, was having a 6-pack abs, looking good. I would say now, even though I'm 30, I feel like I'm 40. I would say health now is just feeling present and not focusing on those things that used to ruminate in my head.